Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning to all participants. I would like to say thank you for joining our webinar series today. Before we begin the webinar series today, allow me to inform that today's webinar session will be held in English language as well as Bahasa Malaysia to facilitate the audience to further understand today's session content. And before we begin with our webinar session today, allow me to promote one of our pre-conference workshop. So as you can see on the screen, so UiTM Cawangan Perak, ELSA, so for second International Conference on Education and Languages for Students and Adult Learners. So we are going to conduct a pre-conference workshop. There will be 3 workshops altogether. So as you can see on the screen here, so the first workshop will be that will be conducted. Our guest speaker is Dr. Harwati Hashim from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. The workshop title is Tools for Meaningful and Highly Engaging Learning. The second workshop that will be conducted, our guest speaker is Dr. Chong Suli. All right, so the title of the workshop is Using Electronic Marginalia for Writing. And the last workshop, the third workshop, the title is Speak Well, Local versus Received Pronunciation. And for this workshop, we'll be having our very own speakers, our lecturers, which is Encik Amri Muhammad Sharif and Miss Mahfuza Rafiq. So as you can see on the poster, on the screen, our registration fees for one workshop will be 50 ringgit. 2 workshops, it will be cheaper, 90 ringgit, and the last one is 3 workshops, a lot cheaper, which is 125 ringgit. And you don't have to worry because for group registration, we'll be having special discounts. So wait no more. Look at the barcode, use your smartphone or your smart devices and just scan the barcode and enroll in our pre-conference workshop. All right, thank you. That's all with our promotion. And last but not least, before that, please visit our Facebook Academy APB Perak, Vgee Facebook, and the last one is YouTube Vgee, right? So subscribe, like, and please share all the contents inside. Okay. So before we begin with the webinar session today, allow me to inform that again that we'll be using English and BM. And again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salutations, especially to our distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Chuah Kee Man from the Faculty of Language and Communication, Universiti Malaysia Sarawak, and our fellow academicians, students from Malaysia, Indonesia, and all over the world. We, the Virtual Global Education Events 2021 team from the Universiti Teknologi UiTM Perak branch would like to bid all of you highest welcome to our program entitled Virtual Global Education Events 2021 with the theme towards the realm of innovating teaching and training. So this webinar series is a collaboration between the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Terbuka Indonesia, and the Academy of Language Studies, UiTM Perak branch. Primarily, the main objective of this webinar series is to explore, dive, and reveal to our fellow audience regarding alternatives and innovation practices for online teaching, thus making the wheel of education to run smoothly despite the rise of the COVID-19 pandemic cases. Furthermore, this effort is highly aligned to the call of Industrial Revolution IR 4.0. We again would like to take this opportunity to bid the warmest of welcome to the Honorable Chairperson himself, Professor Udan Kusmawan from the Universitas Terbuka Indonesia, our advisor, Dr. Putri Rohani Mega Abdul Rahim, and finally the Director of the Program, Dr. Rafida Abdul Karim from the Universiti Teknologi UiTM Perak branch. Ladies and gentlemen, the Virtual Global Education Events 2021 is practically consisting of a series of webinars that began on the last 24th of August until today, the 21st of September 2021, where each of the webinar has brilliantly presented a different endeavor on innovative online teaching aspect. As your host today, I, Nazirul Mubin Muhammad Noor from the Academy of Language Studies, UiTM Perak branch, am honored to guide our audience for today's webinar entitled Creative Use of Padlet and Genially for Active Learning. As mentioned, Our distinct guest speaker, Mr. Chuah Kee Man, will present on the topic titled Creative Use of Padlet and Genially for Active Learning. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chuah Kee Man.
Good morning, Mr.
But,
Nazirul.
but first, allow me to reveal to the audience that we have here on Mr. Chuah Kee Man's inspiring and excellent professional background. Very inspiring, Mr. Chuah. Thank you for being here today with us, all of us. Thank you so much. So Mr. Chuah Kee Man is a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Language and Communication, majoring in Educational Technology, Computational Linguistics, Learning Sciences, Analytics, and Instructional Design. He has won several awards at both national and international levels for various innovations in teaching and learning, as well as assistive technology. He was also the recipient of UNIMAS Academic Award for the Teaching Award category back in the year of 2014, as well as Best E-Learning Facilitator at International University E-Learning Carnival 2016. Very, very inspiring achievement, Mr. Chuah. Again, inspires all of us a lot today. So with that, I would like to hand over the floor to Mr. Chuah Kee Man to further elaborate on the title. Thank you very much, Mr. Chuah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nazirul, for the gracious welcome, and also thank you to the organizing committee of Vgee 2021 for inviting me, for the last kind of like sharing out of the five in the lineup. So today my focus will be on Padlet and also on Genially for active learning. I'm not sure how many of you are out there, but if you're listening now or if you're watching now, then try your best to kind of participate in the session, because it's supposed to be active learning. So I don't want to be like talking to myself alone. So I do hope all of you try to participate in the activity. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of them watching Mr. Chuah in YouTube, Facebook. I also have shared to my friends who are working in schools, university. Wow. So they are waiting for you to impart your what you call that expansive knowledge to us. All right. So with that, please, Mr. Chuah, we would like to listen to you. Thank you.
Great. So I'll be sharing my screen now. So that would help you to kind of follow the session. So I'm gonna go to screen 2. All right. So again, welcome to this session on the creative use of Padlet and Genially for active learning. I'm pretty sure you have. Some of you may have heard of Padlet and Genially, or maybe many of you have tried it. But perhaps today's session is more on triggering your ideas and kind of like give you a bit of inspiration about how to use Padlet and Genially in this sense. So kalau dah pernah cuba Padlet ataupun dah pernah cuba Genially tu, bolehlah kita kongsi bersama apa lagi yang kita boleh belajar tentang cara nak gunakan Padlet dengan Genially untuk active learning ataupun pembelajaran aktif. So let me just kick off with this outline. Of course, we're going to talk about key features of Padlet and Genially. Kita akan tengok fitur-fitur ataupun fungsi yang ada di Padlet dan Genially. Mungkin kita dah pernah dengar Padlet tapi tak tahu feature yang ada. Dan kedua, I will focus more on the ideas for creative use of Padlet and Genially. Again, your tools are just tools. If you do not know how to link it with pedagogical elements, or if you do not know how to link it with your teaching and learning activities, then it will not be that effective. So I'll be sharing some ideas on that. And of course, the virtual hands-on demonstration. So I'll show you, and I would also let you participate in some of the activities that I have lined up for today. Okay, right. Let's kick off with this simple activity. Right, I love to ask this in every workshop that I do. Can you just go to wooklab.com/VGEE2021, or if you're using mobile phone, that would be easier. Just scan the QR code and then give me your response. It's a multiple choice poll, so you can just tick more than one if you want to. But ask yourself, how do you measure student engagement? Bagaimanakah kita menilai penglibatan pelajar? How do you in terms of online learning, how do you actually measure whether your class or your session is highly engaged or not highly engaged, right? So what are you looking for in student engagement? So can you kind of go to that link and then give me your response. Let me just quickly see if I can get some responses now. I think the responses are coming in, as you can see there. Right, so only 3 so far. I would hope more can vote. Right. This would give a bit of indicator of what are you seeking in terms of student engagement. So I'm going to give you maybe another 1 or 2 minutes just to respond. Good to see everyone is engaged now. It's kind of 14. I see 14 on the screen. Majority is still on the active participation during live class. Okay. The second one now is still reaction to certain tasks or content. Reaction. Yep. Some of the measurement may not be in the in the 8 given, but you pick the best out of these 8, right? Pick the best that you normally would look for in terms of student engagement.
This one is a real-time response.
Real time.
Yeah,
Real time
very
response.
nice.
So still majority is going for. I should have just maybe hide it for a while, so that you're not influenced by the chart. I'm gonna give you guys another 30 seconds maybe, because I have 16 here. I'm not sure if more out there, but I think 16 is already a good number. Maybe more can participate. If you miss out, you can just go to wooclap.com/VGEE 2021, or if you want to scan the QR code, you can't scan now because I've hidden it. But just go to wooclap.com/VGEE 2021, or if you go direct to wooclap.com, just key in VGEE 2021. I would love to hear from you when it comes to how do you measure student engagement. So again, I think the indicator is still number 3, which is active participation during live class. As you can see, if based on those who have voted so far, about 50% are saying that, and then ask a lot of questions, reaction to certain tasks. But it's interesting to see why, when it comes to student engagement, number 1 is not a priority, attendance, right? But why do we normally chase students for attendance? Why do we keep using attendance as a measurement of online learning, right? If you look at schools, kalau kita tengok di sekolah ataupun di universiti, this is one of the element that we normally look for. For example, in schools, you will be asked to report the attendance. How many actually attended your live classes? If your attendance is poor, your session or your overall teaching is kind of be marked as low engagement because not many actually attended your class. Well, but it's interesting to see that here you don't really regard it as that important, right? But anyhow, I love the fact that a lot of you are choosing active participation during live class. This is a global phenomenon when it comes to student engagement. We constantly seek for active participation. The keyword in this particular statement is live. It means we only kind of make ourselves happy, right? Kita akan rasa gembira bila our live session, our live class are more livelier, are livelier or are more active, kan? If you conduct your live classes, you will love people to ask questions, you will love people to kind of respond to your task. Like now, if none of you actually responded to my poll, I will feel like, what am I doing here, right? So maybe I shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. So we tend to value real-time responses. We tend to value live responses. But sometimes we forget. Sometimes we forget that active participation can occur during non-live session or asynchronous session when they complete your task, when they answer your questions in the forum that you posted, or maybe they go to Padlet to respond and all that. Sometimes it's not about live only, right? Sometimes the asynchronous element would also indicate engagement. But my point is, when it comes to teaching or when it comes to yourself as an educator, this is what we seek for, right? And in any kind of situation, we will go for the number 3, where we would love to see a lot of active participation during live class. But ironically, there are some of the how to put it, some of the negative perspective on this, by saying that I don't like students to be too active. I wouldn't say negative, maybe a different point of view, right? Some teachers actually do not like students to be active because it kind of disturb the flow,
Structure.
right? kind of disturb your instruction. For example, if I'm teaching now, right? Let's say I just merely started for like 1-2 minutes, and then students are already talking, students are already asking a lot of questions and all that. Some teachers don't like that. They feel like they are not in control of the situation, and then what they will do is they will mute everyone, and then they will shut off the chat function. They will not allow people to chat. They will not allow people to talk. They will just want everyone to listen to them, right? So that's the irony of online learning. At one end, we want active participation. On the other end, we do not want it to be that active because we want to be in control. This is where I think we need to use some tools to help us when it comes to online learning. And today, I'll be kind of sharing. If you want to respond, go on. You don't have to, you don't have to restrict yourself to my presentation. But if you would love to respond, just go ahead. But I will still continue with my presentation. What I'm trying to tell you just now is sometimes we forget that active participation can come in many forms. It doesn't have to be asking questions. It doesn't have to be disturbing you when you're teaching. And during this online learning experience during the pandemic, I think we realized that sometimes the 1 hour or 2 hours that we spend online may not be that meaningful because a large chunk or a large portion of the time is spent on feeding content. We keep giving content, but then we don't allow rooms for active participation, but we want active participation. Okay, a good example would be you talk like me now. Let's say I'm talking, keep on talking for 30 minutes, right?
Correct.
And then I will stop, and then I will ask the typical question that any educators will ask any question, right? Or anyone, anyone, and then by the time you repeat that statement for 3 times and nobody actually responded to your question, what do? You would just go on, right? Or probably you would figure out ways to kind of pinpoint names. Okay, Ali, why don't you respond? Ahmad, why don't you respond? You start to call names, right? Because you realize that they are not responding to you after you give a certain amount of presentation. So what we are trying to do today is to see whether Padlet and Genially can kind of trigger us to be more active, which I always believe when it comes to online learning, especially the live class that we use, the live session that we use, should focus more on the participation or the active engagement rather than the content. Meaning to say the content can be given earlier or presented in a different form. Like this is why a lot of lecturers or educators are encouraged to produce pre-recorded videos, because pre-recorded videos allow students to repeat and review the content, right? If they miss your session due to different circumstances, like they could be having internet difficulty, they could be having some audio problem and whatnot, they can still rewatch your content, either your videos or maybe if you give them slides. If you're not comfortable doing videos, sometimes the slides will be good enough, right? The slides will be helpful to the to the students. It doesn't have to be pre-recorded video. But you can see during this pandemic, banyak cikgu-cikgu di luar sana, banyak lecturer yang buat videos. They do videos, they share not only to themselves but also to the people out there, to
Mr.
everyone.
Chuah,
Yeah.
Mr. Chuah, I have a question. So how do you perceive this kind of, we call it, we term as instructors because the term covers both lecturers and teachers, right? So how do you perceive these instructors that you mentioned just now, who are being reluctant to allow or to give the authority to the students to participate actively in class? What do you think about this?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's wrong or it's right, because these are all the how to put it, more to teaching preference. We have to accept the fact that while learners are learning differently, educators or instructors are also teaching differently because they're trained differently, right? We are trained differently. Some people might have the benefit or opportunity to learn more pedagogical skills. Some may not. Some may not come from educational background. Some come from industry, and the way they are taught to teach is different. But I think the pandemic has kind of triggered everyone to adopt one or two new skills, maybe. I don't know. Because I've seen in my case, a lot of seniors professors who are normally reluctant to allow rooms for Q&A suddenly are more open to that, using different channels. So I think sometimes it's not about judging whether you're right or wrong, or whether you're doing it right, or whether you are going to a different path, but it's more on accommodating to your learning needs and also the learners, right, in this sense. So yeah, I mean, but I think again, the teachers or the instructors or lecturers should, bottom line is, prioritize learning instead of the content, I would say. I know the urge to cover everything, because we have a syllabus and we have a curriculum to follow, kan? We tend to like, okay, I need to finish everything. But sometimes if you just finish everything, it doesn't guarantee any learning to take place anyway. So you might want to focus more on the learning part rather than content. But anyhow, the focus for today is how we can use Padlet and Genially to kind of help you in that process. It may not be suitable across level, I would say, but whichever you think is useful, you can just adopt it. Whichever is not, then you try to maybe leave it for another, usage and all that. Okay, but I would just want to highlight this one, like all genuine learning is active. I think we agree on this based on the poll just now. Everyone is looking for active, but we don't want passive. But you cannot expect active participation when there is no chance for them to be active. I think that is the key. If you have 2 hours of class or 2 hours of lectures and you teach non-stop for 2 hours, how on earth are you going to allow students to be active? Because there's no chance for them to be active, right?
Correct.
This is why a lot of complaints, if you read a lot of complaints recently, even though it may not be publicized, you can, if you follow on social media, if you follow on this, news, certain cases where students are complaining about the quality of online learning or online teaching, they are not really complaining about the burden of getting connected so far. They are more concerned about, since they have taken the effort to go online, they would expect the return of the effort in a way. Like, let's say if I were to spend time just to find a spot to get connected, right? I wouldn't want to spend the 2 hours just listening to you reading slide by slide, because I can do that at home. So by the time I reach online, I should be getting something more value added, right? Maybe you do some activities that triggers me to think beyond what is given in the slide. Maybe you do some active engagement kind of process where I get to do some hands-on, try maybe virtual hands-on and all that. Meaning learners are seeking this because they know things are already there, online content are already there. They wouldn't want to take the effort to just go online and listening you talking for 2 hours, for example. Like now as well, if the whole session is just about me reading from the slide, for example, you might not stay for long, because you can actually ask for the slide and then you go to later, or maybe you can rewatch this video later, right? But there are some things that maybe you would like to ask now, and then that's why you are here, because it allows you to respond or to ask questions to me directly. So I think this is the key that is happening, and a lot of lecturers and students are not really aware of the situation, and they need to try your best to, we need to try our best to make it more engaging for the active learning. So I'll start with Padlet. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Padlet, but there are, due to my surprise, a lot of people have not used Padlet. I'm not saying that this is like the go-to kind of app for you. Maksudnya tak adalah macam Padlet tu tiba-tiba akan merubah segala-galanya. If it means it's not going to change the way you if your content is bad, it's going to be bad. Padlet will not help you, but Padlet allows you to kind of create activities and or even allow students to participate more actively. So now I will just go through quickly, and then we'll go to our Padlet, and then you can start using the Padlet. I think you don't have to go into don't have to memorize the features. I just highlight some of the key ones. If you go to padlet.com, of course, the famous feature would be this one. There are 7 types of virtual boards that you can choose. Wall, grid, shelf are the top one. Meaning to say, it allows different template for you to use for different needs. And all these 7 template you can design, the sky's the limit. There's so many things you can design out of these 7 types. I'll show you some of those later. Key feature number 2 is
we have Miss Diana. She said that she's an active user of Padlet. I'm sure a lot of us use that as well.
Yeah. Good. Padlet is not totally free. The free one allows you to create 3 Padlets, just to be clear, because some people may think that it's fully free. It allows you to create 3 Padlets. To me, that's a good start. If you have never tried Padlet before, you can make use of the 3. It means concurrently you can have 3. Means if you want to create the number 4, you have to delete 1. Yeah, you have to delete 1 for now. I mean, for free. But if you discover that Padlet is really useful, like in my case, I subscribe to the Pro account. For the individual Pro account, it's 12 ringgit per month, 12 Malaysian ringgit per month. I think it's about
Very
$3
cheap.
or $4, $3 or $4 per month. I think it's cheap if you're using it regularly.
Yeah,
So
correct.
you can make use of the 3 first and see whether you really like it. Then you can decide whether you want to subscribe. A lot of my peers actually share. Some of them share the cost and then they share the same account. No problem, because Padlet allows unlimited creation, no limit at all in terms of the creation of Padlet. So I think that's another way. If you do not want to invest like 12 ringgit per month on your own, you can share. Depends.
It's a
Okay,
lot
anyhow.
cheaper.
Yeah. If you share with another partner, that will be six ringgit per month. I mean, kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, those kind of subscription, I leave it to all of you to decide. But I just want to highlight what is so beneficial about this Padlet tool. So number 2 is it allows rich visualization. I think I have never seen one platform for note taking and all that to be so beautifully done. That is why Padlet tagline is beautifully crafted kind of thing. So everything seems very visual, seems very beautiful. And now they just revamp the this part as well, where you see you can do a lot of things. You can upload content, anything, PDF, doc, PPT, PDF, whatever content you want. You can use your camera directly. If you don't want to use additional screen recorder, you can use this screen recorder. It's already built into Padlet. You just have to install the extension from Chrome for Chrome. Video recorder as well. You can even do audio recorder, and then you can just insert a lot of things, right? And it's like one stop. If you do not want to invest in any other tools, this is like the only tool you need. Probably because you don't need to buy software to do video editing or screen recording and all that, right? So everything is under one roof. Key feature number 3, I think it allows real-time collaboration where users can respond to various content. The key is without signing in. I think this is the key. Many tools out there require students to register and then respond. If you need to use Padlet for real-time sharing, like what I did just now using WooClap, if I don't want to use WooClap, I can use Padlet, and all of you go to my Padlet and then respond. Of course, so far Padlet is more on the brainstorming and more on the words type rather than the polling type, right? But I think soon they will add in, because that's the beauty of a web-based tool or web-based software. They update and then you get the benefit. You don't have to purchase a new version, or it's because it's upgraded from time to time. Now, let me see. Yeah, here. Maybe I'll just copy this link to the chat so that you can. Let's go to the Padlet. Okay, let's go to this Padlet. That would be better, so that we can experience it rather than I keep talking and then you cannot imagine, right? Okay, let me just copy this link and then all of you can participate. Okay. If you're not signing in, then you probably how to put it, you don't have to log in, just sign in. All right.
Mr. Chuah, we have a question.
Yeah.
So this one comes from Dr. Nolela Kamaluddin. She said that saya masuk e-Condev 2021 competition guna Genially dan Embed other tools. Komen juri, licensing the product, macam mana nak dapat lesen untuk produk kita?
Oh, yang ni for innovation. I think it depends on the requirements of the keperluan competition for expo lah. Sebab kalau expo dia ada criteria untuk intellectual property licensing. Sometimes when you use third party tools like Genially, Padlet semua ni, it's not really counted as a novelty sebab you guna third party punya tool. So what you can do is you copyright not the tool, you copyright your content. So my advice for Dr. Nolela is, of course, to copyright the content, not the Genially tool, because Genially doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the company, right? So obviously you cannot copyright anything from there. What you need to do is you need to make sure your content is original, of course. Number 2, all the graphics that you use are are not bounded by any intellectual property issue. So if you're using Genially as a tool, meaning you just use the features like all the element is fine, but the content should come from you. And then when you file for IP, you file for the copyright of the content, not the Padlet or not the Genially. I mean, this is out of the topic a bit lah, because this is more on the expo. Because I've joined many innovation expo, international, local, and all that. But when it comes to this element or this component about intellectual property, they are looking for novelty. And when you're using third-party tools like this, the weight is lower, but you can still copyright it. So that would add more weight for that. But in Expo, I think apart from the licensing or copywriting of your content, another key is always the research bit. So that would add, that would buffer. So this is just extra tip for those yang tak dapat nak IP you punya content because you're using party tool. The best way to overcome this problem or to add your value is to do a research on that tool itself. So if you test it on your student, you get results and all that, and you publish in a journal, that would buffer the points for the IP part. Usually it's like that. So if your research is there, they will kind of consider it as okay because you buffer with the IP. But honestly, if you're using third party tool, licensing tu memang susah sikit lah nak dapat markah. Memang kita akan lose markah on that because you're using third party tool. Kan? Macam you use other people's product tapi you want to claim that it's yours. It's a bit tricky lah kan? It's a bit tricky, yeah. Okay. So, is everyone in the Padlet so far? Okay, I have a few, but so far only one response. But you can just type in here. I hope you can see my screen. Is it there? Oh yeah, okay, here. Now, yeah, you can just type in let's get to know one. I mean, I just want you to experience it because some of you may not have used it before. Dr. Amalia said tried using Kahoot je. Yeah, Kahoot pun it's very, how to put it, it's very how would say, very tricky now because they kind of force you to pay. Kahoot kalau tak silap kan, they ask you to pay now. Last time it's totally free. I think now you have to pay even for the duration, and then they limit the numbers of responses. They also limit the number of the all kind of issue. But never mind, just list out first. So I have a few here.
I believe it's because of the demand, Mr. Chuah.
Yeah. I mean, but then from their point of view, of course, they also need money to sustain. Imagine if you have millions of users, but then you are not earning anything to sustain your servers. That would create a problem as well. Not scalable, right? Not scalable. So they need the money. But of course, I think they are quite good in terms of offering educational plan. So still cheap. Like Padlet, I think if you're paying 12 ringgit per month just to support your teaching and learning, I think it's reasonable, not that expensive. But if you compare to other software that requires you to pay thousands per year, that may not be that feasible. But I think again, you can go for free one first, and then you decide whether you want to subscribe or not. We have a few of Padlet, fan here. Shaharia here. I don't know. I'm not sure who. Farah. Okay, Caroline. Some people use Love Peer Deck. All right. Quizzes, quizzes, Mentimeter, but not Padlet. Okay. Google Meet is the in thing for the live class. Okay, but this is how you can how to put it. When you respond to the Padlet, right? This is one of the most famous one, right? Which is using the shelf method, right? You just click this. How to put it, add section, and then you can add different section. So I love to use shelfware as a document hub. So one of the creative use of Padlet is as a document hub. Right now, you don't have to ask me for my slides now, because if you come in, my slide is here, right? So you can just click on this, and then you get my slides. So you don't have to ask for the link to my slide later. And if I were to do workshop, if I were to do training like this, I can just put everything nicely. So I just have to, give you one link and everything is here. So just now, like WooClap, I can actually put it one section. Maybe I can put as activities, right?
It becomes a one-stop center for everything, Mr. Chuah.
Yeah, it's like a document hub or class hub, we call it. So if you have 3 Padlet just now, if you want to try for your classes, this coming semester maybe, so you can create one as a hub where you can list some lectures actually do by week. week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So it depends on your preference. One thing good about having as one hub, sometimes they don't go to your LMS, right? I think this is one issue with our students. Because the loading of our LMS or learning management system can be slow in some cases, so they would seek for some alternative platform. And Padlet usually is quite lightweight and it has its own app. They can just download the Padlet app on their phone. So you just need to give them the the link or the URL. Then they'll be able to load the Padlet directly on your phone. So one thing good is you have a center of everything. So every time you need to post something, you just post it there, and it allows seamless. Like now, as I'm talking, and then you can still respond to the Padlet without even signing in. But if you are doing this as a really serious kind of compilation for the how to put it, for the whole semester, I would encourage you to ask students to register. That would be better. What I mean here is, if you plan to do this like a long term for whole semester kind of thing, week 1 to week 14, ask students to register, because you have to tell students that if they're registered, it will be easier for you to track them. So I think students tend to understand this need. Like in the beginning of the course, you can tell them, I'll be using Padlet for this semester. I will need you to register. But normally, I think if the students are in second year, third year, I think they might have one. And then the good thing about Padlet is you can integrate with the Google account and your Microsoft account, so you can just sign in using those email. You don't have to, manually sign in. So this is for students kind of usage. Yeah.
A question. All right. So right now we're having ODL, online distance learning, right? So, but the main concern, especially for those students who don't have the access to devices, right?
Yeah.
So is this Padlet a mobile-friendly website?
Yeah. If you compare Padlet with other tools, right? Maybe if you compare with your LMS, or maybe some other heavy tools like other like Schoology or even Modo or all kind of other learning management system, is still very lightweight. But if you're asking me to compare between Padlet and Genially, out of these two alone, Padlet is way lightweight than Genially. Genially, later I'll tell you, it's a bit slow, right? Canva as well. I know a lot of teachers use Canva these days to present and all that. Actually, Canva consume more bandwidth due to the visual elements and because they need to load so many things together. If you notice, Padlet is very clean and nothing much. There's nothing like a lot of visual coming in and all that. So how to put it? It helps you to increase participation because they can come in, right? Right. Just now, if I ask you to join WooClap, maybe a lot of you cannot join, so you feel like you are left out, or maybe you don't want to participate anymore because it's hard to log in, for example. But if you notice that Padlet, if you go in and then everyone can go in, then you'll be more interested because it seems like it's easy to come in, right? But again, it's really kind of subjective at times because you really need to check with your students. What I normally advise is check with your students first. You can always do like one round of very simple introduction. If all of them can actually respond to you on Padlet, means it's okay, right? If you have one or two that cannot, then you might want to deal with it differently. Right? Of course, this is not about live teaching. Live teaching, you have Google Meet, you have WebEx, you have all different tools. So live teaching, that one is a different case. This is Padlet alone. You can embed with your live teaching. Like if you're using Google Meet, you can actually share screen like what I'm doing now. Or if you think that week you don't want to do any live because maybe some problem with internet or whatever, or maybe you have more asynchronous activities. So you can put your activities or questions on Padlet and then tell them, I give you 1 day or maybe 2 days to respond to my question or my task, which I'll share with you how I did it. But it means it can be used synchronously and asynchronously, so it works both ways. So you get to use both modes, right?
There are timestamps, Mr. Chuah?
Yeah, timestamp. If you notice here, I didn't because I allow anonymous response. So if I go to setting here, right, I can actually turn on attribution. If I turn on attribution, I get to see who posted it, provided the person register. That is why I said, if you are talking about students, then in your case, if you're planning to use it for the whole semester or maybe for a long period of time, you might want to ask students to register, right? Then if you turn off attribution, that would be without the attribution. But I like this one where you can also turn on commenting, so they can comment. It becomes very Facebook-like, where they can comment and then they start to interact with each other. Like now, if I allow comment, you can actually comment with among each other, like hi Nazirul, blah blah blah, and all that. You get to talk to each other, right? And then you
Mr.
get
Chuah,
to do reaction, right?
Mr. Chuah, we have a question over here.
Oh yeah, okay, sure.
It says from Siti Faridah Kamarudin. So good morning, Mr. Chuah. How is Padlet more convenient as compared to instant messaging such as WhatsApp or Telegram? What do you think?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, Telegram and WhatsApp are more to communication, right? Meaning real-time communication, where you need to make announcement or you need to nudge them, on certain important things. But Padlet can be used for that. Just that it may not be that effective because the notification is not as it's not as direct as Telegram and WhatsApp, because the beauty of WhatsApp and Telegram is the notification, actually, which a lot of students actually hate because they get notified, right? Padlet, if they download the app, they get the notification, but it's not as as frequent as Telegram and WhatsApp. So I would leave WhatsApp and Telegram as another category for communication. That is more on communication. But if you're talking about teaching, like live or doing activities, doing some tasks where they need to reflect and all that, which I'll show you in a bit, Padlet is a good platform to encourage participation, apart from using your normal LMS. Like for example, LMS, you have forum, right? And you notice when you post question on forum, students don't really respond. But if you put it on Padlet, suddenly they are interested to respond because it's a different kind of environment and it's lightweight and you can insert media and all that, okay? So you get to have reaction here, right? You can choose what to have. I just demonstrate to you here just now. I just put a link here. Any link I put here, Diana was asking whether this feature is yes, but not fully, because if you're using the free one, I think there's certain button which they dim. So if I double click anywhere, if I want to add anything, I just have to. I can type the subject. This is my response. I can actually paste the link here directly, right? And then it will try to capture. If I don't want to paste the link, then I can manually add the link. So if I were to manually add the link, you can see here, there's a manual button here where I can click and then I can add, right?
Correct.
If not, I can just paste the link. So the good thing about Padlet is it detects different types of media, and then you will try to embed immediately. If you go to YouTube, you get a video, you want them to watch the video and respond, you just copy the video link and then put it here. It will go. So this is one activity. Maybe I said here is WooClap respond, right? Maybe I just demonstrate to you first. WooClap. How do you measure engagement, for example? So I just finish editing, and then I can decide where I want to put it. If I have different section, if you don't want to pick here, you can move later. So you can decide the color as well. But right now the color is quite limited, right? So let's say I go for purple and then publish. So I get the thing here immediately. So students do not have to go to differently. You can. So let's say today is your class. You can arrange everything in that link. Let's say week 1. Okay, or maybe class number 1, then all the content that you want them to see, you can just put it in. You can see like here, self-introduction, like you have Siti Faridah already posting something here, and then so things like that. I mean, what I mean here is it's just a platform to gather a thing, all the material first, right? Then you can think about activities. So maybe as a start, you can think about how to put it more on as a document hub or a class hub for all the content that you plan to do. You can even have your Google Meet link here if you want to. It can be like every time, if you label this as week 1, then you can have your like Meet link, right? And then you put your Google Meet link there. So let's say I go to Google Meet and then I can have one here. And then I can have another one where I can say activity 1. maybe please watch this video and respond to my questions like 1, 2, for example. I mean, this is just an example. So you just put it here, and then of course you put the link to the YouTube link. If you have searched the YouTube link, you just paste the link. If not, you can actually search from here, right? So you can just go for YouTube and then search for YouTube link. Let's say today you're going to learn about grammar. Then you just search for grammar. And then let's say here.
Yourself.
Yeah, you can search directly from here if you don't want to manually search on YouTube. So I think the good thing about Padlet is it allows this kind of seamless embed where you can actually search and put it in, right? And then publish. You can see here. So you can organize by week if you want to. A lot of people are actually doing this by week, right? Because it's easier and because you are limited by three Padlet. More chances are 3 classes, right? Class 1, class 2, class 3. But I would encourage those, especially universities, because we have more flexibility, right? You can try one class with Padlet and then another class without Padlet, just to kind of do some action research kind of observation, see what works and what not, right? So if you notice that the class without Padlet seems to be craving for something else, that means the one with Padlet is useful. But then it will be unfair lah, in a way. Macam tak ada pula that class tak ada Padlet, this class ada Padlet. But it depends on how you want to see it, and how you want to do it. Okay, so this is Padlet in general. If you want to create a Padlet, all you have to do is when you go to the dashboard here, you just click make the Padlet, and you, like I said just now, you get to choose the 7 types, right? The popular one would be wall, grid, and shelf, like I told you. Grid is it will organize by the like grid layout. Wall is a bit free form. You can go all over the place, and sometimes it's very messy. But the one that I think we should be using a lot would be shelf, the one I used just now, where you can organize the section, right? But I would also want to highlight what I did with some of the sample just now. In my slide, I actually shared on the, if you notice my slide just now, I actually mentioned about guided discussions, e-portfolio. You can use it for e-portfolio, any class activities, or even after this, if you go back to classes, you can still use it for blended learning because you can actually merge both worlds. If you do not want to create a Padlet, another strategy is student create a Padlet. They give the link to you. So let's say if you have group project, every group project should have one Padlet. So this is where they document the planning process, the discussion process. Everything is documented. So in my case, I did it a few times with my group projects where it's a compulsory thing for them to submit their Padlet together with the report. So they have to tell me the progress. So if today they do discussion, they have to take pictures of the discussion, what is the outcome of the discussion, everything aligned to the Padlet. So, and another rule that I always set is they must add me to the Padlet.
I see. So these Padlet links that your students will give to you once they have completed the project, they will be archived in your Padlet, or
no? It's theirs. So you will not be counted as the 3 just now. But again, if you're using as monitoring, don't ask for the last one. The Padlet link should be given to you earlier, not towards the end. So meaning to say is like they have to submit together, but in order for them to submit together, they have to give you the link earlier. So normally you can use like your your LMS where they can give you the link, or just WhatsApp you or Telegram you their link lah. What happened is, if you allow them to be aware that you are monitoring them from day one, then you can avoid a lot of free riding. Correct. Because the moment the Padlet is not moving, or nothing is there, nothing is uploaded and all that, you can start knocking, what's happening in this group, why are you not working together and all that. So they know that you're monitoring. And then there's no issue about late submission because, you're seeing things as it goes. Not like suddenly, they tell you towards the end, oh, we cannot finish this. So for group project, I see the potential of using Padlet as a mean to monitor. Of course, they can use other tools, right? You can use Google. Some people use Google Sites. Some people use different mechanism to do the e-portfolio, or Wix.com, right, to create website. But Padlet is the easiest because you can actually streamline by weeks or by the topics. Okay, so and then another one that I really love is the map. Okay, I'm going to show you the map first. which I will go back to my,
But
my Padlet. Map, I think, is very underrated in Padlet. So if
I've
you
never
go
used.
for the map version, if you make a Padlet and then you click map here, there's a map option here, right? If you select, then it will create a map version. Now it will automatically detect where you are. Like in this case, it's detecting that I'm in Malaysia, but you can also go anywhere you like. So what happened is like this: you can make use of the web version as the map version as like a virtual challenge or virtual scavenger hunt, right? So like this case, in this case, so I can start from here, right? And then I go from here, and then I can, do different types of tips. Like this one is amazing race, right? And then they have to complete certain tasks. Of course, the tasks they have to submit somewhere else, but then they have a clear map of what to do. And if you click on this, click on this location. Let me just click on this location, existing one. If you click edit, right, then
Yep.
it says here you get to connect to a post. So if you connect to another one, you just click another one, it will show the like a map that you want them to go from one place to another, right?
Yep.
And if you click plus here, all you have to do is just to type the location, right? Let's say where do you want to go? Maybe we go to Cebu,
Indonesia.
or maybe
Cebu.
Indonesia. Okay, Cebu. Then I publish. You can see it auto detects where it is, right?
I
And then
see.
if I maybe type Jakarta, if I type Jakarta, Indonesia, if you have the exact location, of course that would be better. That creates the realism, right? So then you will go to Jakarta. So of course this is just the place. Your job is to create the scenario, right? Your job is to create the scenario. So you can put here, let's say mission 2, right? Visit the Jakarta, blah, 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 and find something. All right. Then you can link with, because Padlet allows you to link with all kinds of materials, all kinds of media. One thing that I always embed with the map version would be the Google Expedition. I don't know whether you have heard. So you can go to Google Expedition, this one. Just type Google Expedition, and then you will get this, right? Google Expedition kind of all thing. You have many subjects: science and technology. You have arts. You have geography, natural history. Let's say you want to go for geography, then you can search for the place first, or you just randomly pick anyone you like. Maybe Shanghai.
So we structure our content, subject content, according to these maps here, Mr. Chua.
Yeah,
Be more
but it
interactive.
depends on what you're teaching, of course, right? I think in some cases, like language, you can do this. You don't have to, how to put it? You don't have to restrict yourself to only language kind of content, right? You can ask them to discover the world. Like let's say you want them to go to Rio, just copy this link, and then when you go to your mission, discard first. You just find Rio first. Rio. So this is like mission 3, or maybe you can put here mission 3, depending on how you want to structure. I'm just showing some demo. So you put the link here, copy the link from Google Expedition just now, and paste it here. Then it will start to try to capture the link from the Google Expedition, and then you click publish.
Wow.
Okay, so when students click, they will go and visit this location, right? So instead of your slides or images and all that, they get to discover first, and then you ask question based on this case. For example, you can use it as a teaser for, let's say you're talking about something more serious about climate change and maybe overpopulation. You can say go to Rio de Janeiro and then look at the population there, how crowded they are and all that, and let's talk about overpopulation, a more serious issue rather than just Rio. This is one example of how you can use Padlet for different kind of usage. It doesn't have to be brainstorming. The usual Padlet will be the brainstorming type. I think this is popular. Like for example, if you ask them to do discussion, where was it? me just go this one. I think here. Yeah, this one. It can be by topic itself. Like let's say this one is your greatest fear or challenge is giving a presentation. So instead of asking them to post in the forum or maybe post in the WhatsApp or Telegram, you ask them to post it in your Padlet, right? Because one thing a lot of people do not realize is in Padlet, you get to export it in PDF or in Excel. And if you're doing research for content analysis or discourse analysis, it will be very, very helpful. Like for example, if you go to share here, like this one, let's say you ask a question and then all the students give feedback and blah, blah, blah. You don't have to copy one by one for analysis, right? All you have to do is save as Excel. You can see here now I have the whole content in Excel format. If I were to do research, if I want to do my research, I can just use this as analysis later on. All the feedback are streamlined according to the responses. So you can use Padlet as one form of collecting, discourse, text, and all that. So in a more or less intimidating manner, because if you use Google Form, they normally do not want to open-ended one, right? They will just leave the thing blank. But they use Padlet, they don't know that you are actually collecting, some feedback. Of course, you have to tell them that you are using it for research purposes, but they are more open to giving feedback. Like this one, if I were to ask in Google Form, maybe not many will actually give me what kind of challenge they face in giving presentation. But when I ask them to do it on Padlet, then the class actually start putting in and all that. So you get responses. And if you want to do further analysis, you can just download it. And for MQA record keeping in Malaysian context, where you need to do auditing, whether you are doing online classes or not, you can just go to share and then save it as PDF. The whole thing is publish in PDF, keep it in your portfolio, and it becomes your teaching file, right? Proof that you have conducted, like this one, prove that you have conducted something online. So pros and cons, there are so many benefits from Padlet that a lot of people do not realize. It's not just about a platform to do discussion and just to gather feedback. You can also use it for record keeping, for monitoring, and if you need to do data collection, you can also do data collection. That kind of thing. So
in a much friendlier way.
Yeah. Of course, the downside is the con would be only 3 Padlet for you to try, but it's a good start, right? Like you can see here, if I want to keep all this, right, I can archive it in my Padlet. If let's say I scared that it's going to be lost, I can just click share and then save it in PDF. At least I have a record of what I did before, right? So it will kind of save everything in PDF, and I get to keep it as a record. So you don't have to worry so much about losing whatever you have created. Okay, all right. So if you're doing this for profiling, same thing. Some lecturers actually use this to profile the learners. So you might want to also, just do one part for profiling, and then they start to respond to different question that you ask, and then you keep all the responses as you're keeping in PDF or in your Excel. All right. So give it a try. So I'm going to put some of these examples here later. If you have any other question, you can still ask me. So basically, this is Padlet. Before I go to Genially, all right. So I'm going to put where was it just now? Yeah, this one. Another one that I didn't really highlight just now would be timeline, right? Timeline is good for pathway format. Not this one. Wait, where was it? This one. If you prefer the timeline format where every class has its own timeline, then you can do the timeline format where you can start with like checkpoint 1, and then pre-class, and then check-in, and then the class lecture. This is activity 1 and all that. So you can do like a timeline as well. So this is under the timeline format. If you go to make a Padlet, this is under timeline. So you select Padlet for timeline, and then you can set your timeline. So you can add in like class begin. Then what do you want them to do? Please prepare blah blah blah. Let's say if you have something, just publish. And you can add another one. Please class quiz, and then you add the link to that quiz, right? Quizzes, Kahoot, or whatever. Or if you're using live one, then you have to tell them it's live, right? Then so they get ready, so publish. So you can add different types of content, but in a timeline format. And if you need to move them, you just move them, right? Let's say this one is move, and all that. So there are many, like this one is like a timeline of my whole class or whole unit, so they get to see what is going to happen in my class for today, for example. So check in 5 minit, kemudian in class lecture, kemudian apa and all that. So it's clear, so they know what's happening for today class in a timeline format. So Padlet allows you to do this also. Okay, so yeah, any question, feel free to ask me. I'll put everything here, so you don't have to ask me for the slides. The link to the Padlet will be here. I will also share the content for Genially here, so it will be easier for you to, to kind of come back and see it again. So any questions so far? In case I miss anything.
Yes, we have one question from Tuan Marzuk from YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said that, do we have some sort of limitation in terms of storage to use Padlet? Can we upload unlimited documents, or are there limitations if we use free version?
Free version allows, if I'm not mistaken, up to 250 megabyte maximum for the storage. But single file, I think it's 15 megabytes. So there's a limit in terms of the size, of course, because free one doesn't allow you to use unlimited storage. But the good thing is you can link it with your Google Drive. Yeah, because Padlet allows you to synchronize your Google Drive. So I'm sure a lot of you have Google Drive where you have larger storage. So you can just upload to your Google Drive and then put the link in here. If it's like, for example, PDF, right? So instead of upload manually here, you can upload to your Google Drive and then just share the link here. Video as well. I don't encourage you to upload the video directly here actually, because it will take up the space. Number two is I noticed the streaming is not that good. So might as well you upload to YouTube as unlisted, right? And then copy the link from YouTube and paste it here. Or maybe you can upload to Google Drive as well. Some people do not like YouTube because of privacy, right? So you just upload your video to to Google Drive and then share the link here. Okay.
So it means that if we use links compared to we upload all those files directly, so it will be easier for us as instructors. Yep.
Correct.
Better to use links.
Yep. Any more questions?
Any questions? So
I'm putting up the example here just in case, so you guys can just quickly go through. If you want to play around with it, then just go ahead. But how to put it? Padlet, I think, is really underrated in many cases, and you might want to try in the upcoming upcoming classes, or maybe just experiment with it. It might work in your case, it might not. But what I see, Padlet, in terms of the active engagement, is students tend to be very fast in responding. I don't know why, but maybe because of the look and feel of Padlet. So yeah,
Mr. Chuah, I have a question. So for example, if you are co-teaching, you're co-teaching with another lecturer, so how do you add another collaborator?
You can just go to this share, right? Go to share, and you get to see members here. So you can add members. Members are basically co-collaborators. All right. So if you students are doing this, meaning if students are creating Padlet for themselves, for the group members, they need to add their members like this, right? And ask them to add you as well. So you become one of the member. So what happens is the
full control over the Padlet.
Yep, and you can decide what they can do. Like this one, visitor can write. If you don't want, you can change the privacy, and then like now I allow you to write. Let's say after tomorrow, I don't want you to disturb my Padlet anymore. I can just say can read, for example, right? But if you are a member, you can edit. Can edit means you can delete posts, you can amend posts and all that. So members can do that. Okay.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Chuah.
Yeah. So I think if you're co-teaching, then you just add members, and just put in. The privacy is always secret, which I like about Padlet. Secret
I
here
see.
means only those with the link can see it. So if I go
I
to
see.
my profile, if you go to my padlet.com and then you go to my profile, you will not see this Padlet. It will be nothing there,
I
right?
see.
I mean, those I can see because I'm
You're the
not
owner.
in my account. Let me just open another browser. Secret means nobody can search for your Padlet. It will not appear in the like this one. Only those that I made available for public, you can see it's public. This one is public, but this one is not from me. This is from other people, but I contributed, and these two are public. That's why it's shown in my profile. But the rest are not here, so it's secret. The good thing about setting secret as well is it will not be crawled by search engine.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you will not be crawled by search engine. Meaning to say, I cannot search for you. Some people forget to turn it to secret, and then they allow public, and then sometimes you share some secret things, right? Like for example here, you ask your student to share some private photos or whatever, and then suddenly you make it public, and then the Google actually found your content. That is the part. So by default, it's secret. Every time you create a Padlet, it's automatically marked as secret. But if you think nothing secretive about your Padlet, you want everyone to see, then you can just change it to public. The search
Public.
engine will crawl. Private, of course, only you can see it, or you can set password. Some of my students, they scared other groups sabotage the Padlets, so they set password. Only I know the password, and then I can go in. Yeah, like now, if I don't want other people to view this, I want to limit only to Vgee participants. I can set the password, and then I tell you the password. Only you can use it, for example, right? Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chuah.
Yep.
Okay, so I have another question for you, Mr. Chua. Just now, when you click on the link to share, we have many options. Facebook, do we have Instagram over there? Twitter. So how do we use this Padlet in terms of, because we know students nowadays, they are very, very, very active on social media, right? So how do we utilize this function of Padlet through social media?
This one is more on sharing the link, like normal how we share it.
Oh,
if you have a class group, some people has class group on Facebook. Some lecturers they create a group on Facebook, so you can share it on Facebook directly. So every time you upload something on Padlet, you just share it on Facebook. But for Twitter, it's just a link. Like here, it's just a link, right? So you just announce to everyone that you're using it for Padlet. I mean, this is my Twitter, and then you will announce to everyone. So it's not so useful. But one thing which is powerful for Padlet is this one, Embed. If you're using LMS tools that support this embed, HTML, you can just copy and then embed everything. So the student do not have to leave the LMS learning management system. They can just view your Padlet directly from the platform itself. Right, that's the beauty of it. So if you click embed, you can just copy this link, right? Or sometimes you can just copy the link, because a lot of LMS these days, like Moodle, like UNIMAS use Moodle, we just have to put in the Padlet link, right? And then it will just change it to the embed version. But if not, then you use this embed code, just like how you embed YouTube video before this, right? So embed would allow you to kind of sync everything in one page rather than going from multiple pages.
Another, yep, exactly. Yep.
So any other question about this? So try to explore. To me, the learning curve is not that steep for Padlet. So it's quite comfortable to a lot of lecturers. It's not really technical. You don't really need to know a lot of technical things. It's just some getting used to. Like when you create a Padlet, you just have to click this wrench icon and then key in all your details. You can even filter profanity, like all the swear words. It will auto change, right? If you have student helpers to help you, and you do not want everyone to randomly post, you can also allow approval. So you can add some student as your moderator to moderate some of the thing. But I normally turn it off, because if you turn it on, it doesn't allow free discussion. It's like macam kita ni, yeah. But after all, if we see something bad, we can delete it. So we don't have to worry about Yeah.
Mr. Chua, another thing is about YouTube videos that you posted just now in the activity one for week one.
Yeah.
So, for
Yeah.
example, if we click on it, will it play in this Padlet or will it navigate as? Oh, wow,
I just
interesting.
answered your question. Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Chua.
it's still there. Yeah, this is the thing I like about Padlet, because it really forces every content to be streamlined into one hub, and you don't have to move around, unless of course like this one
Mm,
you have to go up, because it's another tool. Like if you click here, then you will go to a new link, because it's a totally different thing, right? Then you get to see this poll that you answered just now. But still, students are kind of, confined to this space, which allows you to control a bit without distraction. Like this one, if you go to YouTube, they would be watching something else at the side, all the distracted videos and
yeah,
all that. Yeah.
exactly.
So that if you view it on your Padlet app, it's nicely sized, the phone size. Right now, it looks a bit small because it's on the white screen. But if you view it on your phone, the size is just nice for your phone.
It
So
works
since a
perfectly.
lot of students they would use phone for this kind of activity, so
Mm,
it's okay for them to watch. Yeah.
yep,
But
correct.
if they need to enlarge, of course, they can always just click this enlarge, and then the whole thing is enlarged.
Full
So,
screen.
but the good thing is they don't have to go to YouTube.
Easy,
Yeah,
yeah. Ease
yeah,
of
yeah.
access for everything.
Yep. Okay. Any other thing for Padlet before we go to Genially? I think we are taking some time here.
I think
No
everything is
question?
marvelous, marvelous, Mr. Chua, on your
Good, good,
explanation.
good.
Because the way you explained it just now, it helps even me myself to structure on how I
Yeah,
put all the syllabus, all the modules
yeah,
inside here. Actually, so
yeah,
you can see it clearly as an educator. You can think, oh, week one, so I have
yeah.
to teach this. I can navigate to
Correct.
this link, goes to another Padlet that provides
Yes,
the platform for
yes.
students.
I
Yeah,
think I think because we're so used to teaching using PowerPoint slides, or even slides using Canva or whatever, but it's so restrictive to that PowerPoint, right? And we forget that sometimes with online learning we get to do more. Like you can have your slides here. Let's say if you want your student to straight away go to your Padlet without even going to your PowerPoint, you can just teach from here actually. Just open up the slides and then start teaching from here. And then
mm,
whenever you need to go to activity, you can close it and then go to activity one, activity two. So students are all in one place, and you get to streamline your interaction easier. So there's no issue about, like if you're using Google Meet and then you share your PowerPoint, like what I'm doing now, and I have to close my PowerPoint, I have to open up the
like,
Padlet. There's so many things going on, and then students like, apa ni? Like this is where they start complaining that, pensyarah guna banyak tool, right? But if you put
yeah,
everything on Padlet, tak pula dia bising, because everything seems like everything is on Padlet.
yes. So, do we have games inside this?
Unfortunately, no. Games I will show in Genially. Genially we have games.
Oh,
Genially.
interesting.
Padlet is more on very text based, very very content. It's more on more on content and activities for brainstorming and all that. Games, of course, if you are creative, you can actually design game out of Padlet. I've seen some example online. You can say game. You can just Google game based learning on Padlet. But one example just now would be this one, the map.
Mm,
This one can be turned into a game, but then there's no mechanism to capture the marks. So because
response.
Padlet is more on the canvas kind of style, right? And you are the one who go and monitor the marks and all that. So it's a bit tricky, but it's
Mm,
possible. It's possible.
yep, yep.
Okay, right?
All right.
That's all for Padlet so far.
Mm.
Okay, no more, right? Padlet.
Some more questions from the floor.
Those who miss Padlet link, just go to padlet.com/webkm Vgee 2021. I think that if you can see here. Okay,
All right.
can we move on to Genially?
Yeah. Please, Mr. Chua, there's no more question about
Okay.
Padlet. I think a lot of us have received this very precious knowledge from you to enhance our teaching, especially in the next semester.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Thank you very
yeah.
much, Mr. Chua.
That's why if I always get this question. If there's one tool that you would recommend to me, I mean, teachers, when they ask me, what would that be? I think the first thing that I would recommend is Padlet. Apart from the live streaming tool like what we use, like Google Meet and all that. But if you're talking about activities, I think Padlet is one of the easiest tool to use, right? Okay. Let's go to Genially then. Genially, maybe you cannot be participating that active because it's more to designing kind of thing, right? Can we just go to this one? Yeah, mind mapping, I forgot to tell you about this, but it's the same just now. You just connect the post and then you just link it. So you can use under Canvas in Padlet. So you can explore this. Just that mind mapping, I think requires, it's not really you who use it, it's the learner. So you can tell learner to create mind map using Padlet and then share the link with you, right? So if you have breakout rooms, if you are familiar with breakout rooms, instead of asking them to do it on Microsoft Word or something, you can ask them to do on Padlet. And then when they present, instead of present using PowerPoint or whatever, they present using Padlet. So you can see the whole flow of the ideas, right? Okay, this one done. Let's go to Genially a bit. You may not heard of Genially.
No, I've myself personally never used this before.
Yeah, but you can try. You can try. It's maybe more suitable for school, but I have tried it in higher education using different methods. But one thing that I would encourage you to use Genially is for gamification, because Genially is how to put it is like I think just now when Farida mentioned about how she used the was it somebody I can't remember. Nolela, yeah, Dr. Nolela, who asked about the Genially, right? Using Genially as a platform to create gamification and different types of activities, right? The sky's the limit as well, actually, because the tools are so amazing. Just that the content, you can just create based on your own experience and also your expertise. You don't have to rely solely on whatever Genially has given you. I mean, in terms of the content, but you can use the interactive elements and all that, right? Now, let me just go to the features a bit, then we go straight to Genially. Feature number one, you can see here, you can use Genially for many things. You can create your slides, you can use infographic, you can do gamification, video presentation, interactive. There's so many. But the one that is quite popular now is this one, gamification. And I know a lot of people are using Genially to create these kind of gamification activities, and they embed it with other tools like Padlet and all that, okay? Number two is very interactive tools. You have, later on, when I show you the interface, you have a lot of options to choose what to do with your content in terms of the interactive element. Maksudnya banyak yang you can do with in terms of interactive content. And then number three is this one, the seamless integration with different tools. What I like about Genially is there's this direct insertion punya function, right? You get to use this direct insertion where you get to embed code directly. So your Genially will have Padlet, your Genially will have Google Form and all that, which I will show you in a bit, right? So maybe not in a bit now, you can go to, I'm not sure if you can try this, but let me just show you how it looks like first, because I think some of you may not have seen it before. Some of you may have, right? Show this one. Sorry, should be this one. Let me go to Genially, and then you can tell me whether you think it's useful, right? And if you follow my my discussion just now, I was telling you that Genially is a bit slow in terms of loading. You can see it now, right? You can see how it takes a bit of time to load. This is one reason why, if you're talking about real-time usage, interactive usage during live class, Genially may not be a good option. But if you're using it as an asynchronous, meaning to say offline activities where students do it on their own, not live, not real time, Genially is very, very useful. Meaning to say you create, you leave the student to do it or try it whenever they are free. But if you want to do it real time, you might need to load it earlier, and then you run it during your Google Meet session, or live streaming and all that, or in your Zoom or in your WebEx. So, but you need to load it earlier. Okay, if you create Genially, like I told you just now, you have presentation, you have infographic, gamification, and all that. Let's say if I were to go to gamification, there are many templates available. I am using Education Pro for this account, so I get to use some of the premium account. You can subscribe to Education Pro if you want to. They have education plan, not that cheap, quite expensive, I would say, but free one allow you to use all the major features, except for some of the template which are premium, and also some features which are premium. Like this one, if you see here, I can actually turn off premium, right? You can see all these are free ones, and there are quite a lot of free ones. It doesn't mean that the moment you don't pay and then you only, you are restricted to only a few free ones. So Genially allows you to try many free ones as well. So you have Genially quiz, you have different types of games that you can use. So you just choose the template, edit it, and then suit your game, whatever you want to play. Like, for example, the famous one would be like tic-tac-toe, right? Or even the snake and ladder. This is also quite popular. So if I were to click on this one, it will load the snake and ladder template. Now, if you're talking about IP, right, just now, the question by Dr. Noleda about the IP, for example, you cannot IP this one because it doesn't belong to you, right? The whole design is not by you. But if you use the element, the interactive element in terms of the template, then you modify the graphic, you create your own graphic, and then you can copyright it. Of course, the graphic should be copyright, allow you to copyright. If you're using stock photos which are not free, you cannot copyright it because the photos are not free. If you're using Canva to create it, the graphics are free, so you can use those graphics which are free to fit into your content. Right now, as I click, you can see the loading will take some time. So this is one reason why Genially may not be suitable for real-time teaching, but it's suitable for non-real-time, asynchronous kind of teaching. So you can change this. Let's say you don't want to call it snake and ladder. You can call it like grammar challenge, right? Or maybe topic 1 or topic 2. And then you get to change the element here. So what happened is, what I mean by element is all this thing here. Resources. There are many resources which are free. So if you don't like certain icon, you can just show more. And then there are many icons for you to choose here. Then you can just drag and drop, right? If you don't like it, and then you delete, okay? If you want to have pictures or shape, just click on it. Or you can search if you want to. They have interactive graph and chart as well. This one you can key in the data. You can see here, if I change this to 30, it will change. So it's like Excel, you can change the graph here. So some people use Genially to create their poster, digital poster as well. I mean, using the poster template. This one is gamification template. So you can just delete this if you don't want to. Let's say you make some changes, and anything you put it on Genially, like this one, anything you click, you will see this like buttons here. The first one is to block. Block means you don't allow people to edit. Of course, they cannot, they cannot change. Then there is this element of drag, meaning if you enable it, then this one can be dragged. If you disable it, then it cannot be dragged by the user lah. I mean, you are the editor, so you can still drag. So let's say I allow drag, and then there's also interactivity. So this is where you decide what you want to do with the interactive element. You want to have a tooltip. Tooltip means you pop up something. Let's say, hey, choose me, right? Hey, if I were to see this, sorry. Hey, choose me. If I were to preview, I think preview will allow you to see it better. All right. Again, let it load. Okay. So you can see here, you can see the tooltip appearing, right? If I mouse over, I will see the tooltip. So this is tooltip. If you don't want tooltip, then you can change it to something else like Windows, a pop-up Windows. Pop-up window will be more dramatic. It will appear on the screen like this one. If I were to, right, it will pop up. If you don't want, then you can link it to a page. So let's say if they click on that pawn, they can go to something else, right? The pieces just now, you can link it to something else you like. Maybe link to Padlet again, or embed Padlet, or whatever you like. So you can go to page as well within your page. Right now I only have one, so I cannot show you, but I'll show you in another Genially. But it means you can do this kind of navigation interactive element directly in Genially. So let's say this is a game. If you were to preview, you just have to change the question, change the change the whatever you need. So let's say I roll the dice. 6. So the student will just go to 6. Then if there's something here, they will have to answer. I mean, you can put the interactive element or question here. Notice that you have to share this link to your students. So your students who are playing this will come together to the same Genially, and then they play together. And also notice that if you want a lot of students to play the game together, you may not be happy if you have only 4 you know what I mean, because this one is meant for 4 people, for example. So if your class is at 10, then you might not want to use this template, or you duplicate it 4 times for different breakout rooms, so they play on their own. But this is more on self-learning kind of asynchronous activities. Like I mentioned just now, if you do it live, the student will complain about the slowness. Okay. Some people say boleh. Yeah. It's, you just take advantage of the promotion. I subscribe to Education Pro. It's not really cheap, quite expensive as well. I was thinking hard whether I should subscribe. Then I decided to subscribe. At least I try for 1 year. If I'm not happy with it, I would just stop subscribing, right? I mean, no harm. Okay, anyhow. So what I like about Genially is also the interactive element here. You can see here, you can drag many interactive element in. The one which is quite useful is this one, invisible area. So invisible area means if you are doing some scavenger hunt, escape room kind of concept, you can put all this invisible thing. Student will not be able to see it, or viewer will not be able to see it, but you can do some interactive element there. Let's say if I put it here, I can link it to another page, but the invisible element will not be shown, right? So yeah, and it also allows you to animate things. Like you can see this icon, animation, but the animation are not as elaborated as PowerPoint, but good enough for some interactive element to occur, right? So if you were to do some entrance, exit, continuous mouse over kind of animation. I mean, this is up to your creativity. But the beauty is this one, insert. You get to insert audio. This one I have to check whether it's available for free, and video, and then others. Maybe those of you who subscribe, you can try and check audio and video, but I know others is available for everyone. Okay, others means you can embed anything you like here. So let's say just now I have the Padlet just now. Maybe I go back to our Padlet. If we go back to our Padlet, and then we click share, we copy the embed code, right? Copy the embed code. I come back to Genially. I paste the code here. If I click insert, I get my Padlet here. You can see here. So this is the beauty of Genially. It allows you to direct embed things inside your Genially. So if you use Genially as a presentation tool, right, or self-learning tool, or a self-instructional module, you can actually create a link between your content and then the discussion. Let's say you have presented some content earlier, but you want some discussion to happen, and that discussion you do it on Padlet. And then you embed it here. So imagine this is a page for discussion. So the student will be able to see your content first. They learn on their own, maybe, because it's self-instructional module. And then they come for discussion where you get to monitor them on Padlet. So it allows you to to do that kind of insertion. You also can embed Google Form. Like if you do quizzes on Google Form, you can just copy the embed code and put it here, and then the student will be able to answer your quiz question on Google Form. Okay. Let us imagine if you are using it for escape room, right? So I want you to kind of experience. I don't know how many of you are in front of your laptop, right? I'm not sure, because this one it's more resource intensive and you may need a laptop. But if you would love to try, you can go to this link. Yeah, if you would love to try. This is one escape room that I created using Genially. Some of you may have tried before, maybe if you have followed my session before, but you might want to try this Vgee 2021. Okay, bit.ly Vgee 2021. It will require you to load the page a bit, but those of you who have never experienced escape room, you can try this one, right? You can try this one. Escape room is a good concept where you get to test students on certain understanding, like key terms or topics, before you move on to a new topic. But in my case, this sample, I use a very simple activity, which is just to find the clue of the words. You can change it to like a more complicated question, right? Something for them to reflect, or something for them to go and check. For example, if I click start now, right? If I click start now, right? To get out of zero, you have to find letters. Okay, I tell that if you are here, you can try this. So they have to go into the room and find 5 letters and then form the keyword to unlock the room. What I did was, of course, I'm demonstrating. If you like to try, you can try. Maybe you can try first, some of you. This is the room that you need to escape from. So add every element, not every, but any clickable element will prompt something. Let's say if I click here on this spilled coffee, then you can put the pop-up window and say, nah, someone stole the coffee maker but spilled the tea. You might want to look elsewhere for the code. So that means nothing here, right? Nothing here. So you try, student need to find further. Maybe they can look at this map. If they click on the map, right? This is a coaching map. So all these are done by linking it to a different page where you link it to the content or link it to the question that you want. So in this case, they have to find, let's say, there's no code on the map. So they have to close it and then return. When they click return, they go back to the room, right? So if you would like to try, you can try this one. I'm not sure whether you have the time to try, but I'm going to leave the link to you, and then you can try it on your own later, right? Or whenever you're free. Because escape room is one concept where students can explore on their own. It may not be suitable for real-time teaching. I mean, try not to use it for real-time teaching, but it can be used as a formative assessment if you have the time. Let's say today you have 2 hours. You don't know what to do for the 2 hours. You want to spend more on the escape room. So you can create one escape room where there are different prompts or different quizzes or different questions. And then as they are doing it, you give them time. Maybe after 30 minutes, they come back to you and then you discuss. So that will be one way of doing some interactive or active learning in online setting, not just listening to you presenting your content using slides, right? So that would be one way. So maybe you can allocate, let's say after 4 weeks or maybe 3 weeks, you do one session like this, where you get to test students' understanding by using the escape room concept. So yeah, so let's see if somebody say UNIMAS. no. Have you guessed the word? Let me. If you are here, some of you, maybe we try some clue here together. I mean, just do it together, just to let you see how it works. So something is hidden here. It's a piece from one of the oldest game in the world. Where is this? The oldest game in the oldest
I only
game.
managed to get 3, Mr. Chuah.
Okay, meanings you have to find. Okay, let's say we do this together. One of the oldest game in the world will be chess, right? And if you notice carefully, this Kuah Kumbu, there is a chess piece here, right? So if you click here, yes, you have found the first code. Click to review. First
G.
one is G. So you write down G, right? G, for example. Right. I think you can get it. And then you go to another one, maybe something on the table. I'm not sure. Yeah, you got it. Code number 2, but no direct answer will be given. You must solve the riddle below. I'm the beginning of everything, the end of everywhere. I'm the beginning of eternity, the end of time and space. What am I? It's a bit reader. Beginning of everything, the end of everywhere, the beginning of eternity, the end of time and space. The answer is E, because I'm the beginning of everything, the end of everywhere.
I
I'm the beginning
see.
of eternity, the end of time and space. So just now you have G, now you have E.
E.
By the way, the letters are not in sequence, so the code can be a mix, but you get G, you get E already, right?
Games. Is it, Mr. Chua?
Yeah, you got it right. So you have GE, and then next thing you need to do once you get the code is you have to find where to key in the code. So that's not like Mr. May not have found the place to key in the code. The place to key in the code is actually hidden here.
In the middle.
Do you have all the codes? Proceed only when you have found the code. So let's say you have found all the code. Click yes. You can see this is a Google form. So you need to make sure you get it 100%. So let's say if you type, let's say I'm just typing here just to demonstrate. If I were to type games, I get 100, and out of 100, that means I'm out of the room. I managed to escape the room. If you don't get 100 out of 100, and then you need to reattempt, so you can return. You
Students
see
can
how
actually do this course, yeah, Mr. Chua?
again?
Sorry. The students can actually the scores.
Yep.
In which question they have scored, right?
Yep, because I embed together with the Google form in the quiz mode. So I already set of course, this is just a demo. It's very simplistic kind of too. Imagine if you were to change instead of code, you can actually give question, and then you can do a quiz. Like they have to answer multiple choice quiz, and then they can only escape if they achieve, let's say, minimum 70%. Say things like that. And the good thing is whenever you type in all this, like what I'm seeing now, like when you embed Google form to your Genially, like now, where was it? This is another one. I get to see in my Google form. You get what I mean? I get to check everything on my Google form. So I get to detect which student have not done it or which student managed to get it right, and things like that. So yeah, I somehow cannot find the room, but anyhow, but it's on the Google form that you create for the escape room. This one, okay, I found it. I think this is one way to kind of like monitor. It may not be graded, right? Sometimes it doesn't have to be graded, but it's a good indicator of whether the student have learned whatever you have taught them maybe for the past 3 weeks, or maybe if you do this like a weekly thing, it could be a weekly challenge. I normally gamify the whole thing. So because like my 14 weeks, it could be like week 1, week 2, different things. They do a different types of game, and then week 3 is an escape room challenge. So they have to do the escape room challenge to compile the marks and all that, things like that. So it really depends on how you see it. So if you can see here, I get to see all the everyone who got it right. Right now, I know whoever got it wrong, and I can see it real time because they are doing it real time. So if you don't want to show this to your audience, to your student, you just have to view it from your side. So as you give them the escape room just now, as they are doing it, you can monitor who is doing and who is not, right? So that's the beauty of this kind of activity for escape room. So if you want to create using Genially for the escape room concept, for a start, you can use the template given, right? Okay, you can just search here. Those of you who have never tried escape room, just search for escape room. So there are a few here. I personally prefer start from zero because my content is just one picture of a room and then I just embed the thing. But if you use the template given, some of the escape room is a bit elaborated, you know, with some
Complex
with some
buttons.
animation. But up to you, yeah. Like breakout mystery, you can do it for as a breakout room activities, right? So if you use this template, if you use escape room together with breakout room, that will be even more interesting. So you
First
break them
round,
up. Let's say you are using breakout room, right? You break them up into groups, and then they do it together. So each breakout room will have one person who share the screen, and then they work together. Then you see which one managed to complete it within the given time. So that will be another one. But that requires again student to be able to log in together, which is challenging lah. Because I think a lot of people have mentioned today the live one will require some time. You can see the loading is a bit slow, but if you do it as a self-paced activity or self-paced escape room, that would be nice. So you can see here the vibe here is a bit
dark.
a bit thriller type, but you can write your narrative. You can say you are now lost, blah blah blah. You do some narrative kind of engagement, and then you can decide the character if you want to, so they can pick different types of characters, and then you can also do the map. These are all template, by the way. It doesn't mean you have to follow. Let's say if you don't want to have the character, you can just delete this, right? You don't have to follow exactly. But once they get into the room, this is the room, or so-called the space, right? Then or this is the mission one. When they click, they have to answer something in the mission one, right? But you have to decide to link from one page to another page. If I click this one, this item, if you go for interactivity, you will know it links to this page. You can see here, right? It links to this page. If I click on the rest, no linkage yet, right? Nothing linked yet. If I go to this page just now, you can see if I click this interactivity, I will know it links to which page, right? It's the same like you use, old time when you use PowerPoint, you do
Exactly.
quizzes, you say yes, yes, and then you go to that slide, no, you go to that slide. More or less the same concept, but this one is more interactive in a way because you get to have more elements. But the concept is the same, where you use different slides or different scene as a way to create that
Story.
that effect or storyline. Okay, yeah. So you can try it out. But you can't do this all the time, of course. I mean, don't do this every week. Your student will get bored as well. Do it like a sequence kind of challenge, and if you can link it with the leveling, that will be better. So what I did was, for example, I have, let's say, 3 escape room in a semester. So I will say that the first one will be the easiest, and then the second one will be harder, and then the final one is actually a revision for the final exam. So they have to do it before the final exam, or else they will lose out, because the escape room for the final one is the one that will give them some hint for the final exam. Instead of normally you explain to them what are the things that you're going to come up in the exam, blah, 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 you use escape room as a way to lure them to kind of repeat some of the content or revise some of the content that you have taught them earlier. So it creates that sense of anticipation as well. Okay, so but if you have the Google form, some of you may be a bit blur about Google form. If you want to use Google form, any form like here, like this one, the one I use, you need to turn it to the setting here. Turn it to quiz mode first. Make this a quiz, right? Then when you make this a quiz, you can add questions where there will be like an answer key, like a multiple choice question, like what is, what is ABC? So you give them the option, right? ABC, DEF, and then you pick your answer key is this one. For example, I'm just giving you an example. Done. So you can set the point. I didn't set the point just now. Let's say this is 10 points. You can have a series of questions for the escape room as well, but then you can set. And then once you're done with the question, instead of normally sending the form, you just go to send. Take the embed code here. Copy the embed code. right? Don't use the link or whatever. Just copy the embed code. If you want a bit of security, collect emails, meaning they have to sign in. That would be better. Then you get the real person to check. Like just now, I didn't ask you to key in your email, right? It could be anyone. Somebody can pretend to be somebody else. So you know what I mean. So you can actually collect email lah. Boleh collect email to make it more kind of secure, right? Then copy. Then you go to your Genially just now. Let's say this page is the final one, right? Just example. Just paste it here and then insert. You get your Google form here. So you can resize it a bit and all that. You get what I mean? The student will know that this is the one that they need to complete in order to escape the room. Okay? So this is I don't know why I'm so obsessed with this feature, because Genially actually allows you to embed all these things. Because normally a lot of tools, they don't allow you to embed like this. Like you need to just give link, and then when they click on the link, it will go somewhere else and all that. This one, everything can be embedded within the Genially platform itself, right? You can even embed video from YouTube and all that. More or less similar to Padlet, but Padlet are more suitable for discussion, brainstorming, resource sharing. But Genially, I see it more to gamified kind of experience, gamified learning kind of experience. So you might want to see the potential of Genially as well. The free one, I think no limit in terms of creation, but they limit you in terms of the access to the content, like the template, the what else, the resources and all that. They will limit you to some features. But once you're done, just click all set, and you just have to publish it online. Then you get the link, share the link to your student. So you can, let's say, view here, this is your link. This is your link, for example. Share it with your student. So maybe I can just share it on the Padlet. So maybe activities here, I can add another one. I can say this one is escape room sample, right? So I just put it here, put the link here. So you can just share it, then student will try it on their own. But like I said, the con of Genially would be it's not really suitable for real time or live teaching, because the loading is really an issue so far.
Bandwidth.
Yeah, bandwidth. But once you load it because it's save it to your computer, then the loads will be faster. The loading will be faster. But the first time you load it will take some time. That's what I noticed. That's why it's more suitable for self-paced learning. So you can create it like what I did just now. You create the escape room nicely done, settle, and then just put it in your some Padlet, or even share it on your Telegram, the link, and then give them some time. Let's say give them 2 days or maybe 1 week to complete it. And then by the end of the week, you get to see the score, for example. Okay, all right. I think that's Genially. If you would like to try the other how to put it, the other
web-based app.
I mean the other template, you just go ahead and try it. There's so many templates there. Yeah. Okay. Any other question?
We do have questions from the floor. Yes, the session is recorded, Puan Mahfuzah Ahmad. So we can review this later on. You can go to our YouTube channel or Facebook account for APB and Vgee. So the videos will be there. All right.
Any other question, just in case?
I guess the participants, they are enjoying using the Padlet, and generally they're trying it out, Mr. Chuah.
Yeah. I think so.
This website, they are very interactive. And sometimes it takes time for us to comprehend how the system works.
Correct. You will.
Before we touch our own content.
But the this Padlet I will not delete. That means if you, apart from the video that you have on YouTube and also on Facebook, you can still come back to this Padlet, just in case you need some I mean the participant or the viewers who are, if you need to kind of recap what was covered in the session, you can click from this Padlet as well, including the slides. Yeah.
Yep. Mr. Chua, I have a question. So in case
Yeah.
of if the participants they are interested to get in touch with you or to get
Oh, yeah.
your assistance in helping them to strengthen their teaching skills, especially during this ODL, how do we contact you? Do you have phone
Yeah. I
number?
mean, uh, you can contact me using email or go to my YouTube, or maybe I just type it here. Or if you want, you can just contact me using my phone number. My phone number is actually public on the Facebook as well for this one.
I see.
So no harm. So I mean so just can contact me as well. For those in Indonesia, maybe you can just email or WhatsApp
Yep.
just by
We have
adding
a
the
question. We have a question
yeah
actually, Mr. Chua, from
yeah
Lily Maria Abdul Latif. This one
uh-huh.
from YouTube. So she said that if students did not complete the task within the period, is there any indicator to differentiate between students have tried or no attempt made at all?
Genially, if you did not add them, like as members, because in Genially,
Yep.
how to put it, you can add them into your Genially by manually adding the email. If you
Yep.
add them all together, then you can track them. But if you're using like what I did just now, open, meaning anyone can just come in, the only indicator will be from the Google form just now.
The
So
access.
you have tried, then you will see just now, for example, I think you can see some of the, maybe I hide the name. Let me just hide this. Where was it? Okay, like this one. If you can see this. So I get to see this is
100.
another sample just now, but I get to see the attempt. So you can see like, of course I hide the name, all right? I hide the
Yep.
name. If you unhide it, then you will see like maybe this person tried 2 times, or
I see.
once. So you still get to see, you get the track, and of course you get the timestamp as well. I can see here, right now. So if you get the timestamp, let's say today is the due date, then you see a lot of people are coming. Like you see now, everyone is coming in. Of course, this is
Oh,
them.
still
You might want,
active.
yeah, because I'm showing it live now.
Yep.
So basically, you get to monitor. So I think the only way to kind of monitor would be using something like this, using Google Form to track them. Or if your students are not many of them, let's say less than 30 or maybe less than 50, you can manually key in all of them into your Genially, meaning you only invite those who are registered. But that would take a bit of effort where, get them registered, add them in and all that. So a bit more work, but form will be the easiest. Okay.
Oh, we have another question, Mr. Chua.
Sure.
This one comes from Najla Nasuha Muhammad Radin. So
Mm-hmm.
she said that in using Padlet, does it require much storage space to be installed on phone? Some students might not be fortunate enough to own sophisticated phones or
Oh, yeah.
tablets for the learning purpose.
I think Padlet is very small in size, way smaller than Google Classroom and even Google Meet and all that. It's very lightweight. I think less than I can't remember. It's about 20 MB, very small size. If you download most of the apps now, even like WhatsApp now is close to 200 MB. Telegram is also quite big. So Padlet is quite lightweight. Now, let's say if they don't want to download the app, they can just use the browser on the phone and then key in the link. It's the same. In fact, if they use browser, it will not burden the storage because it's
Yep.
browser based, right? Once you close, then it's gone. I mean, not gone. I mean, it doesn't take up the space on the phone. It just use
Yep.
the web. But normally, what I notice, if you want them to respond, if you want students to respond quite fast, they would really use the mobile. They will use the mobile. Let's say now you're doing live session now, and then you
Yep.
want them to respond to Padlet. They will quickly take their phone and then they will just quickly type. But those who are using, if you set Padlet as a tool that you will use throughout the semester, if you inform them earlier, it will become a habit. Like in my case, student will automatically open the Padlet, wait for me to start the class, and then they will see what's happening on the Padlet first. And then the moment I start, they have 2 tabs ready. For example, one for Google Meet, the other one for Padlet. They know that you'll be using it. Once you create that consistency, student will get to appreciate the usage. If you use it once or twice, or maybe just out of one, just for one or two activities, then they may not do that lah. But if you really want to make it as a consistent usage, the student will be more than happy to be ready for that. Yeah.
It's just a matter of practice of how we as lecturers put it in our class.
But don't worry too much about the bandwidth. I can assure you, it's not that intensive. In fact, if you download it now for Padlet app, if you download it now, if you load any Padlet, it's very fast. Yeah, it's very fast. Okay, any other questions, just in case I miss any? By the way, you don't have to take everything I say on, like everything I say macam semua bagus. No, you really have to try it, and then you evaluate the pro and cons based on your students. Like I said, tools are just tools. So if your students are responding well to Padlet, for example, then you can go on with it. If the students are not really, keen with the usage, then you might want to try other tools.
Another question: how many students can join in the escape room? Is there any limit?
As far as I know, no limit. You see, just now, I used the same escape room for another workshop the other day. About 300 went in, no problem.
I see.
I mean, it's very rare for you to have so many at the same time, I think. but it's I mean, no limit as far as I know. Yeah.
Mr. Chuah, I have a question for you as a technologist. Right. So what do you think of the phrase, you need to learn how to unlearn? That one is from Yoda, I believe, Star Wars.
Wow. I think it's from Peter. Was it from Peter Structure? You know, the one who created the future of learning?
Yes.
I think somebody shared this yesterday, and I kind of like it. It takes a lot of courage to unlearn. I mean, they added that part where you need to unlearn. But yeah, it's true. Sometimes we're so used to something already, right? And year in, year out, semester in, semester out, we do the same thing, and then we're comfortable with it. And then some people will tell me, in fact, I get this all the time. Some people will say, why fix, when it's not broken? Why do I have to change my method of teaching when every semester my students are scoring A, every semester my students are doing well? I said, yeah, if your students are appreciating the whole process, meaning your evaluation indicates that there's no much change needed, then you don't have to. Or if you're comfortable with the whole thing already, then it's fine, right? But if you think maybe sometimes in teaching, what I realize is it's not so much about what learners think, it's about what we think. Because imagine you have been teaching for 10, 20 years, 30 years. If you are doing the same thing, you yourself get bored. Like in my case, right? I told my student, actually I changed it not because it's not working. It's just that I'm bored with my own way of delivering it. So I want to try something else. It's sometimes it's our case, right? Students have no problem, because bottom line, as long as they get a good result, they learn something from you, they have no problem. But you yourself get bored, in certain way of delivering certain things. But yeah, it really takes a courage to unlearn certain skills and certain mindset. But I think the pandemic, like I repeat in the beginning of the session, where I see a lot of positive sides of this. Not everyone will embrace the change, but even those who are reluctant still pick up one or two skills or one or two tools that they learn. Like I said, in my case, in my university's lectures, who are so used to using PowerPoint now can do YouTube videos. What I mean? I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated. Simple video will do. Or they start to use tools to engage learners and all that. And learners, as long as they benefit from the whole learning process, I think that would be good. Not so much about whether we get the return immediately or not. I think sometimes we are seeking that, and it may not happen overnight, right? Our return of investment. Okay.
But, another thing about, you mentioned in the earlier part, when we started this webinar, you mentioned about some of the teachers that you have seen, they have created like YouTube channels, and they have structured their content inside
Yeah,
playlists. I think that one is a good idea, especially
yeah,
for us in
yeah,
higher educational level,
yeah.
because students can always refer to the content, and in case they want to get in touch personally, they can contact us through WhatsApp
True,
or
true.
email for further explanation. That one is really, really interesting, Mr. Chua.
I recently completed a mini research I did on about, I think this cover more than one course, not only my course. I mean, not only my students. It's about 400 student. This is higher education.
Yep.
What I noticed was they don't really mind how to put it, the level of sophisticatedness of your video. What they
Mm-hmm.
want is you teach, and you are the
Mm-hmm.
one who teach it. Like, it's like this: if you take a video from other people, right? I mean,
Yep.
the same topic, and then you give it to them, the chances of them viewing is very, very low. If you produce the video on your own, no matter how lousy you think it is, they watch. Really, I'm surprised. And then when I ask them, I mean, some of them who give the feedback qualitatively using interview, because I interviewed some of them, they said,
Yep.
I would rather listen to my lecture because ultimately I want to feel like I belong to the class. I'm not seeing some different faces or some
Exactly.
foreign lecturers who are not teaching me. So my point is, don't be afraid. A session I had with a college last week, a lot of lecturers say I'm shy, I'm embarrassed. I said, no harm if you are shy. You don't have to show your face. The most important thing is the audio, meaning you have to explain it using your own voice. They want to listen to you. I don't know why, but that impact is there. I mean, this is one of the outcome from my study, and I think this is why a lot of teachers are doing this, even though you can see the content is the same. This teacher is
Yes.
teaching this, it's the same, but instead of using other people's content, they create their own video. Of course, you don't have to make it public. You can just put it unlisted. I have a lot of colleagues who could produce hundreds of videos now, but they don't put it public because they're so scared of being used. But
People.
at least they produce it, and then the students are enjoying. And the beauty of video is, even if they don't watch it now, they will watch it eventually. That's the
Yes.
key.
Yes.
Like, if they don't attend your live session today, like if you don't attend my session today, then you don't feel like you want to come back
Agree.
to the
Yes.
session again. But if it's recorded now, you can always view back the video and then maybe just drag to the part which is more important and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think we should really embrace this even after the pandemic, when we are when we return to campus. Some of the content that we normally do in the class, we can just pre-record it, and then when we meet them personally for that 2-3 hours, we really maximize it for activities.
Yep.
Because right now we spend so much time using slides, and then we keep complaining tak ada masa nak buat activity. Of course lah, because you spend time
Giving
relating to
PDF.
the content. Yeah. So if you do it like a structure where the content are done, and then the student will have to watch it or will have to read it before you do the activities, they will do it because they know that if they don't do it, the activities will not be running, right? You get what I mean?
Exactly, Mr.
If
Chua.
you let it go like that, like, let's say, okay, some lecturer will say, oh, dia ni tak baca ni, dia ni tak tengok ni, might as well I just repeat. No point as well, because you get what I mean? You're allowing it to just letting it happen without them taking responsibility or taking accountability of the learning process. So
Yes.
you try it once and twice, and then you will see the changes. I mean, at least my own mini research has shown that lah. If you link your activities with the content that you have
Yep.
prepared or prepared earlier, they have to do it, because if they don't do it,
They won't understand.
they won't understand anything. And then when they come to class, and then it's easily detectable. I told my student, for example, if you don't watch my video or if you don't read up even other materials or whatever, it's so obvious in the class later. Because
Exactly.
when they are in the group, it's so obvious that this group has not done anything or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me myself, based on my experience, a lot of my friends, they have bought like sports camera like GoPro, the
Yeah.
DJI, those 4K cameras, and what they
Wow.
do is they go around the places that they used to go, and then they record their teaching video. So the movement in the background actually triggers students to listen and watch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Those
I,
small
I,
things.
I, I will be sharing something like this in the later this afternoon, actually, in the UMS conference about the the science of learning, one of the things that we notice is in video, students actually are excited when they see a change of scene, right? I mean, even us, when I see your background like this, for example, Mr. Mubin, I will be observing. Where are you, right? I started to be interested, right? Then tomorrow
Yes.
you change something else. You go to like a waterfall or whatever, and then you explain something. I'll be curious. So using that kind of thing actually triggers them to be curious, and then even though they don't want to watch your video, suddenly they become attached to your video, and then they
Yes.
anticipate it to happen. I'm not sure if you guys have read the news about the UTM lecturer who created videos about cars, sharing about cars, and then he had had a lot how 100 over 1,000 videos now. I mean
You.
viewers now,
Subscribe.
and also subscribers. Sorry, you can, if you watch the video, it's very laid back, very informative, and it really links to the topic because he's from, I think he's from engineering, mechanical engineering. I mean in UTM, but all the videos are done in a casual manner, explaining the key concept, and students will watch it because it's something that they can relate to. I mean, something
Yes.
that we can learn from that kind of content. It doesn't have to be a content where we, buka and then baca slide satu satu. You
Yes.
get what I mean?
And
It takes
sometimes
some
we
time. I'm not blaming anyone. In fact, when I train a lot of lectures here, I mean in UNIMAS, and also when I do coaching with a lot of teachers, I said it's fine. That will be a good start, but slowly you see what other people are doing, and then you improve the way you
yes.
explain. The way
Yes.
you produce a video. It would really help in online learning. Yeah, but it takes more effort, and then of course the issue of time, the
Yes.
issue of energy is always there.
Internet
Yeah.
especially.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But
Yeah.
one last point is
Yeah.
based
Sure.
on my perception, I think that the expectation of being, all of these things being digital, the first thing is probably the thought is we have to create a video which is like bombastic. You have to fill in
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
transitions with
Yep.
the
Yep. No.
filters, and actually we don't have to do that.
No. I
Yep.
my studies proven that the most watched videos are probably the one that you think is the lousy.
Yes, exactly.
Because
With no
uh,
transitions.
no fancy animation, just you
Yes.
explaining the key concept clearly using example. Especially if you can use
Yes.
great stories to explain, students love it so much. like like if you can relate certain concept, the abstract concept, with real life example, right? Even by just talking without any graphic, without any animation, students love it. I don't know why, but it's just the way we are attached to storytelling, that kind of style, I think. So don't be too obsessed with the technical part lah. I know a lot of teachers actually spend a lot of money,
Yep.
green screen, studio, all this control and all that, but that would be more of added value. The rest are all just very simple videos. Should be fine, I think.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chua, for your time today, for your
Yep.
energy, and all of this very precious knowledge that you have imparted to us. So I hope that you succeed in future and in all your endeavors that you will do.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping to see you in future actually because I'm interested in this field. All right. Thank you very much again, Mr. Chua, for being
Yeah.
here, for
Thank you
being
so
with
much
us.
as well to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wa mursalin Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah for His grace that has helped us in completing this virtual global education event 2021. So this program again is organized by Universiti Teknologi Mara, Perak branch, in collaboration with Universitas Terbuka Indonesia, along with our excellent strategic partner, UiTM Global Department of International Affairs. We would not be able to achieve the success of conducting this webinar series without his guidance, assistance, and blessings. As the last moderator for this webinar series, I, Nazirul, would like to express the team's appreciation to everyone, especially the speakers, all the guest speakers, moderators who are involved, be it directly or indirectly, as without the assistance and magnificent cooperation from every one of us, we could not have achieved the success that we have today. A special thanks to everyone from Universitas Terbuka Indonesia and Universiti Teknologi Mara, Perak branch, which includes the Vice Chancellor, universities, top management, lecturers, administrative workers, and last but not least, the most important one, the students from Malaysia, Indonesia, and the rest of the world who have been magnificently intrigued by this webinar series. So we, the Virtual Global Education Event 2021 team, again would like to express our gratitude and appreciation to all of you. So to recap back at what we have successfully conducted, we had our seminars back in August 17 with our very own expert, Dr. Rafida Abdul Karim from UiTM Perak. On August 24th, Dr. Rahmat Budiman, an expert from Universitas Terbuka Indonesia, and an expert from Faculty of Education UiTM Selangor, Dr. Noor Tuti Aini Abdul Wahid. On the 14th of September, Dr. Intan Indiana Hassan, an expert from Faculty of Health Sciences, Universiti Sains Malaysia. And last but not least, our very own special today, our speaker today, Mr. Chuah Kee Man, an expert, all right, from the Faculty of Language and Communication, Universiti Malaysia Sarawak, UNIMAS. So before I bring this webinar series to its end, allow me to read two stanzas of Pantun Melayu. Letih berjalan di tengah pekan, singgah sebentar di Gerai City. Terima kasih kami ucapkan atas segala jasa dan bakti. Gunung Tahan sama didaki, Sungai Pahang sama direnang. Jikalau semua bersatu hati, kerja sukar akan menjadi senang. With that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a good day. Thank you and stay safe to all of you, the participants, to the speakers, to the moderators. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chua.
Thank you so much, everyone.
See you again, hopefully, inshallah.
See you, see everyone.
And for all the participants, you may go to YouTube or Facebook to click on the attendance links. All right, the attendance links are available in those platforms. It will be provided by our team members there. All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chua. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
See you again.